Hello everyone and welcome back to Dune 2. Welcome one last time to Ordos Mission 2. So let's watch once more how the houses take the territories. I could skip this, but it's really only like 10 seconds, so it's really okay. Yeah, all the houses start with an equal number of territories, and they also start with essentially a buffer zone between them.
Your next conquest.
Even though it doesn't really matter. I mean, the campaign always gets harder. You'd think it would get easier at one point when you take over most of the planet, but it obviously doesn't. Oh well, that's... Quota is now... Yeah, we've already heard this a couple of times. This time I think I'm going to go for spies again, because quite honestly, there's little reason to destroy the base. It's kind of cumbersome. But at least they don't build any vehicles, which means this is a lot easier. If they build vehicles, then you'd have to destroy their construction yard while you're trying to take out the vehicle that molests you at the same time, which is just painful, really. Yeah, in that regard, the first couple of missions here are not very well designed, but then again, it's kind of the first... Why am I not building anything? The first base building RTS game in this style here ever, so you can only expect so much. To be honest, for pioneer game, whatever you want to call it, like this holds actually up pretty well. It does have its weaknesses, but it also has a lot of strengths, and I talked about that.
Enemy unit
Oh, rocket guy.
from the north. Construction complete.
I talked about that previously. That the game does have a lot of strengths that were
Ordos harvester deployed.
that came back later but weren't continued, such as warnings when units pop up, the upgrade system that you need, as well as having multiple production queues depending on the buildings you have, all of which is more typical for Warcraft and its other Blizzard predecessors than for, or maybe Age of Empires, which came later of course.
Ordos
Yeah, it's more typical
harvester
for those games than it is for other games really. And other games in the Command & Conquer series, that is. And of course, Generals brought back a couple of those things, like multiple production queues. Even though the system of having the concrete to build didn't really return. I mean, the concrete did actually return in Command & Conquer Tiberian Sun, but that they only introduced concrete to prevent underground units from popping up, or for craters getting... like for artillery essentially causing craters to appear. Actual craters that meant you couldn't build on certain spots anymore because it was a slope now. So that was different concrete, but the concrete did make a return. And that's pretty much it. I don't really recall another game where I need kind of like an area. You do have the creep in StarCraft, the Zerg creep, but it's not really like the concrete. It just essentially just defines the area where you can build buildings, meaning that instead of being able to build anywhere on the map, like it's more typical in, let's say the Age of Empires series, with construction units, you'd have to build in the creep and you were restricted to it, which is more akin to the Command & Conquer series that is later, where you have this classic build radius around your base, which essentially you have here as well, except that the radius is really small.
Enemy unit destroyed.
And of course, you also had the roads in Warcraft, the first Warcraft, where you had to build those roads and then attach buildings to them essentially, which was a little bit cumbersome to be honest. And there's probably a reason why they abandoned that in Warcraft 2. Yeah, Warcraft, the original Warcraft, Orcs and Humans, suffers a lot from being Warcraft's prequel, because if you, for example, compare Command & Conquer and Command & Conquer Red Alert, then Red Alert is almost like a really fancy expansion pack, and if I remember correctly, it was supposed to be an expansion pack at one point, but it turned into its own game. But it's still very close, and a lot of changes that are made are, well, they're significant, but they're not fundamental, whereas Warcraft 2 is pretty much better than Warcraft 1 in every regard, I'd say, really every regard. So I guess you could say you prefer the building system, and maybe some people prefer being able to only select 4 units at a time, and maybe some people like the units better than like the Necrolite and stuff like that. But generally spoken, I would say it's better in pretty much every regard. So, which is probably also why the Warcraft 2 online community is actually quite active, considering how old the game is, but I haven't really heard much about the Warcraft 1 multiplayer community. I'm pretty sure there's still people playing the game today, but if there are, I don't see any larger community like there is for the original StarCraft and the Command & Conquer games, with the exception of Soul Survivor. But well, we'll get back to that another day. Or maybe we have already gotten back to that by the time I publish this video. We probably will, yeah, so that's going to be weird. Dated my video here immediately, but who cares? Anyway, so going on a slight tangent here, but that's okay. I mean, there's only so much there's to do in this mission, and we've almost won. Come on, come on. There we go.
Is complete.
Excellent. Well, I guess you could assume that we do not... You could immune? What the hell? What's the hell text? That we do not only... Congratulations. That we do not only harvest this amount of spice, but that we also take over the area and then harvest more spice in the future. None of which we will ever see, mind you, because you always start with a comparatively small amount of money. I think the Ordos actually start with a slightly different amount of money in certain missions. I'm not quite sure what the idea behind that was. So I guess they're the rich cartel and they can afford it. I don't really know. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I shall see you next time. Take care and goodbyes. And is Desert Mongoose worse than Sand Warrior? I think it is. Anyway, take care and goodbye.